We're keeping a very close eye on the 89th Texas legislature and the push to get legislation passed during this 20-week session. Our media partners over at Texas Monthly say that there is a reason why you should not look away from this current legislature. Christopher Hooks was at the Texas Capitol, in fact, this week. Joins us for a little discussion tonight. So let me start with this. When it came to the speaker that we've talked about this week, Republicans fought pretty hard over two candidates. In the end, of course, Democrats gave an edge to Representative Dustin Burrows. He's the man now. So what does that say about Burrows, and what should we expect from the speakership itself?
Well, it's true. Democrats played an important role in giving Representative Dustin Burrows the edge in the speaker's election, but I think it remains to be seen how much influence Democrats actually have in this process going forward. And my sense from talking to people is that instead of giving Democrats guarantees about policy outcomes, what bills are or aren't going to pass, he's more likely to have given them reassurances about the process. How much that means going forward, we'll see. We'll see next week when they vote on a rules package for the House. It remains to be seen whether Democrats will be allowed to chair committees, which has been a contentious part of this process, or how much Burrows is going to rely on Democrats to help him get bills through going forward. I think one thing, notable thing that I haven't seen talked about a lot is that Representative Dustin Burrows is a graduate of Texas Tech. This is Texas university politics is very important. Texas Tech has a very strong advocate in the legislature for the first time in a while. They're normally UT and A&M people.
Let me ask you this. On the very first day of the legislative session, Governor Abbott brought up school vouchers. Is there anything that Texas Monthly is hearing about what Burrows plans to do on that specific subject?
It's true. School vouchers are the most important contentious issue the legislature has to deal with this session. There's been a lot of pressure on Republicans who have been reluctant, especially rural Republicans who have been reluctant to do something they think will weaken public schools. Historically, Dustin Burrows has been a strong advocate of school choice, of voucher programs. And a lot of the Republican opponents of school vouchers who were vocal last session have been replaced thanks to an expensive campaign by the governor and other forces. I think it's fair to expect that something that school choice advocates can call their own will pass this session. It seems more likely than not. But I think there is a question that has yet to be resolved as to whether this is going to be a really big school voucher program like they have in other states, or something that is more like school choice advocates putting their foot in the door and opening a pathway to expanding it in future sessions.
Yeah, makes sense. What else can you tell us regarding some of the other issues that may come up in this current legislature, like immigration? Gambling is one we think about as well.
Yeah, so the other big issues the legislature has to deal with this session involve a very big and expensive push from the gambling lobby to legalize sports gaming and casino gaming. This has been in front of the legislature several times in the past. A tremendous amount of money is being spent on it, an army of more than 300 lobbyists. It faces still, I think, a lot of resistance. Last session, it came close to passing the House. These kind of a package of issues that would open the Constitution door to gambling, but it faces strong resistance in the Senate. The forces that want to legalize gaming have a tremendous amount of resources that they can deploy over many sessions to get this passed. I'm skeptical that it passes this time. Of course, as you say, another big question mark is with the incoming Trump administration in Washington, whether that allows Texas to back off a little bit the tremendous expenditure the state has made in securing the border and using state resources to augment federal border security forces, or whether they go further in, whether they say, well, we're going to use state police and the National Guard to work more hand in hand with Trump's forces and make them a more integrated part of what the Trump administration is going to be trying to do with immigration.
So we've talked about the House. Let's touch on the Senate before I let you go. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, what do you think we can expect from the Senate side of all of this?
Well, to a remarkable extent these days, when you talk about the Texas Senate, you're actually talking about one person, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who's the Senate's presiding officer. There are still, of course, 31 senators, but their preferences and what they do in the chamber matters a lot less than what Dan Patrick wants to happen. Dan Patrick has been in office since 2015. At this point, we know where he stands on a lot of issues. He's historically been an impediment to expanding the use of marijuana in Texas. He wants to take another look at that this session and maybe crack crack down on some of the things Texas has done in the last few years. He's historically been hostile to gambling, and he has historically been hostile to efforts, even by Republicans, to do criminal justice reform and change the way Texas policing and corrections happens. I think he's probably going to be predictable on a lot of these issues going forward. One question he's gone back and forth on this is whether he's going to run for re-election in 2026 and who will replace him. You might see some jockeying in the Senate on that matter this session.
All right, Christopher Hooks, big thanks for the discussion. You can read more about the 89th Texas Legislature right now on TexasMonthly.com.